It is time that we lead our countries. We take control of the European Parliament and put the European institution back in their place to work for the people, not against the people. Because of the situation in Romania, where we have an ongoing coup d'etat, the presidential elections were annulled. Our state is broken, our state is captured, and nobody says anything. We are now trying to escape a dictatorship. We are trying to put internal pressure and international pressure, but we cannot do it by ourselves. We need allies, we need friends, we need a force that defends the free world.
Can you tell us a little bit about this movement that you've started?
It's about continuing the wave President Trump started of getting back to normality, getting our countries back to normal. There's a conservative wave coming from the States. For us, it's the most important partner we have, the United States of America. So we organized the first conferences in a wave of conferences in 2025 here in the European Parliament. The idea started from Bucharest last year when we made in the biggest building in Europe and second largest building in the world after the Pentagon, the Make Europe Great Again event. The majority of the people from the senator from Canada to Dr. Malone to our conservative friends in ECR, Patriots or Sovereignists are present at this edition in January. And we have a sort of provocation for them. To organize Make Europe Great Again events, rallies, caps in their countries, so we can start a grassroots movement. We have people from over 40 countries present here, 400 participants, and from the total of 27 countries inside the European Union, we have representatives from 25. The only countries that are missing are Malta and Hungary.
From your perspective, like you mentioned Trump and the MAGA movement, how can that be duplicated here? I mean, the United States is definitely a bit of a different beast than Europe. I mean, they have sovereign countries here, and the United States is basically under one sovereign country. Do you see that changing? I mean, you look at Germany, and they're somewhat leaning right now. You've got France with Le Pen and that movement that's kind of rising up. You've got Romania and yourself, of course, even in Poland as well. So
my prognosis is that in Germany, AfD will win the elections. It helped a lot that Elon took their side, because parties like ours, like Swedish Democrats, like Fratelli d'Italia or AfD, have been smeared, and everybody was telling us it's not possible for us to go to government. Why isn't it possible if we live in a democracy? So it is time that we go to government, that we lead our countries, and in a bigger picture, we take control of the European Parliament and the European institution and put the European institution back in their place to work for the people and with the people, not against the people, not with a crazy agenda like the new Green Deal. So it works perfectly to follow on the footsteps of MAGA movement, because I just heard the president of the parliament in Paraguay. I would have said he copied my speech, but we didn't knew each other. We just have the same idea, promoting the natural way, promoting what President Trump said in his inaugural speech, that from now on America will have only two genders that they will recognize, male or female. This is what I learned in biology. This is for me normality. Marriage between a man and a woman, you cannot give such resolutions like they were given 2 years ago or 3 years ago through the Matic report here in the European Parliament, to say a man can give birth. this is against God, against biology, against common sense. So we have to bring common sense back. This is what my president of the European Party, Mateusz Morawiecki, is saying. This is what I'm supporting as vice president of ECR. So we have good event for us in a situation where we also need international support because of the situation in Romania, where we have an ongoing coup d'etat. The presidential elections were annulled, and now they want to repeat them in May, but who knows if this time they will agree for a democratic transition of power, because our government is losing the elections 100%. They were so arrogant that they annulled through their people in the Constitutional Court, they annulled the elections because they had the support of Ursula von der Leyen and the people who are in government at the European Union level.
So why do you think they supported that? So just step back and kind of maybe explain it a little bit to our listeners who haven't really followed Romanian politics very much. You guys had an election and you had a up-and-coming conservative contender that came in, basically gained a ton of support on TikTok and social media.
Yes.
He rallied the troops, and then because of that social media campaign, the EU kind of stepped in, from my understanding, correct? And wanted to annul the election because they said that it wasn't fair.
This is what the former EU Commissioner Thierry Breton said. Now he doesn't admit it anymore. But the only way the European institution could have intervened is not condemning the annulment of the elections and not talking about rule of law. Us in Romania and in Poland and in Hungary, because of having governments that were too independent and too focused of the needs of the people and the needs of their country, not listening to the orders from Brussels, we always heard about the rule of law. You must respect the rule of law, rule of law. And now our state is broken, our state is captured, and nobody says anything. It's like mortal silence on the corridors of European Commission and European institutions. We have a resolution from Venice Commission, but the Venice Commission reports are only consultative. We are now trying to escape a dictatorship because, yes, the presidential elections were won by one guy that wasn't one of them. To annul them is too much. They said a state elector was involved, not naming one and not presenting any shred of evidence. So they said Russia. They didn't pronounce the name Russia, only Antony Blinken said Russia. Why not China, for example? But there wasn't any state elector. It's just people who are upset. We are supporting Mr. Georgescu, and the next fraud they are preparing is not to let Mr. Georgescu be a candidate in May's elections. We are prepared with Plan B, Plan C, Plan D for everything in order to restore democracy in Romania.
It seems to be happening all over the world, though. This left push to silence conservatives. I mean, either through free speech or through electoral wins. You look at AFD and the way that they're persecuted with the media, the way that they have been vilified in a lot of ways. You look at even Trump, of course. I mean, Elon Musk, even for supporting in the conservative well. How do you counter that? I mean, beyond social media, which is a very powerful tool, and Trump actually gives his election to social media in a lot of ways.
And he's true, Mario. He's right because of X, because of TikTok, because of freedom of speech was not annulled. President Trump won, but the question you are asking me is complicated. How do you get rid of dictatorship? How do you return to democracy? There's no such thing as a manual, as a school book where you learn how to escape from an ongoing coup d'etat. We are trying to put internal pressure and international pressure this is about the case in Romania, and at European level We are trying to win a majority. They did everything, including arresting us, taking our devices. For 6 months, I cannot use my phones or laptop. They were taken by the prosecutors. Actually, the same prosecutor as in Tate's brother's case. The judicial system in Romania only proves that we have a captured state. So naturally, by European level election, you could form a new majority and you could form a new commission, hopefully through our leaders, because I am one of the leaders of the patriotic forces, but the important leaders are Giorgia Meloni, my president's party, and from Fratelli d'Italia, we are forming the ECR group. On the other hand, there is the Patriots group with Viktor Orban and with Vox and with Rassemblement National. We should join forces. I'm a strong supporter of joining forces, and we will be, if we join with other patriot sovereignists in the European Parliament, we will be the #1 power, political power inside the European Parliament. But not enough to have a majority. So next time we will have a European election. It's 2029. We must have a popular vote if democracy will still be applied then, and we will put sovereignists at the lead of the European Commission. Until then, we have another institution that is called the Council, the European Council. And the European Council is made up of head of states, presidents or prime ministers from the 27 states of EU. So we must win as many elections as possible. In February in Germany, in May in Poland. That is, of course, if they don't apply the model used in Romania, or if they don't use in France, there's the possibility to use the prosecutors and the judicial system against Madame Marine Le Pen. So we are in a fight. I grew up looking towards you, towards the States, towards the free world, after the Romanian Revolution against the communist regime. And we really believed in the American democracy, in the power of vote, and now we are a little bit disappointed. We were a little bit disappointed just until I saw the inaugural speech of President Trump. That gave me hope that we will restore, maybe not greatness, but normality.
So, you know, it's interesting that you mentioned this coalition in Europe that you want to build, and that's part of this mega movement that you're starting. You know, that's something that the Paraguayan president mentioned when I talked to him earlier. He was talking about how it's very important for conservatives to align together to build a stronger voice from a global perspective, because that's what worked in the U.S. A lot of conservatives put away their differences, their minor differences, and looked at the bigger cause of the bigger purpose. Is that something that you're hoping for Europe as well?
This is what I want to build, a grassroots movement, because, okay, win the elections in Romania, but we cannot do it by ourselves. We need allies, we need friends. This is why we are here now in Brussels. We are hoping to build this grassroots movement in all countries, and I was very surprised to hear the president of the parliament in Paraguay, same age as mine, same preoccupation, saying we should ally because we have the same interest. Yes, we need a force that defends the free world. And to be honest, I'm ashamed, because one of the participants asked me, okay, so if I come to Romania, will I be arrested by the military, speaking against the military, against the coup d'etat? And I said, no, we are not in South America, the military junta. But you have now a young guy from Paraguay, which is coming and is great. You have President Milei in Argentina. We have leaders from Ecuador, from Bolivia present at the conference. The only case remaining, and we have a participant in Venezuela, is Venezuela with Maduro, of dictatorship, of military force. We in Romania are normal people, and the example is not Putin. The example is not Lukashenko. The example is not Maduro, but the free world, but the democracy. You have a system of checks and balances, and it is in our constitution, in our democracies. I truly believe that the future for my son and for our children is through dialogue and through public vote. They call us populists, but we are the only one that hear the voice of the people and the voice of reason.
Okay, so from that, take it to the next level. If you are in a system that is admittedly corrupt, ruled by people that have overturned a legal election, according to you, how do you fix that? I mean, they own the judicial system, which is reflective of lawfare that they've taken out on you, they've taken out on the Tates, they've taken out on, some high-profile people. How do you break past that?
How do you escape the matrix?
Exactly.
How do you escape a dictatorship? Gandhi walked, and he was an example of peaceful resistance. I had in Romania over 1,600 people killed in the revolution. I mean, for me, as a Romanian, this is a disgrace that people had to die for our liberty and to have free elections, and that somebody created such a system of disinformation and manipulation in order that people are murdered. I don't want bloodshed. I don't want more killings. I don't want more Romanians killed. This is why I must be responsible, and this is why I must use all the peaceful measures, from creating groups on WhatsApp and signing petitions and going to marches. We had a very big march for free elections in Bucharest. We will repeat them. So hopefully we will go back to normal, like in the other cases of countries in 1989, a change of regime in Eastern Europe with the Velvet Revolution. Nobody had to die in the Czech Republic, for example. So this is the perspective for me, but at a greater level, because these heads of government or heads of states are just puppets, listening to orders coming from
who?
Guys like Rothschild, Rockefeller, Soros, the big capital, the big multinational owners. And these guys should be stopped by the people. And we don't have to do anything else, just to be smart, just to do what God sent us to do in this world, and to be with our people. Right. To represent them, not to lie them, not to become rich being their representatives.
Well, that's a very interesting point, because there's quite a few many very wealthy European politicians. You mentioned Soros. He has done quite a bit to behind the scenes with the Open Society to help shape the political landscapes and tilt things one way or the other, depending on his mood. But Elon's done the same. I mean, to be fair, as a billionaire, he has backed Trump, and now he's backing AFD. Do you imagine that Elon will have the counter effect for Soros if he starts getting more involved in other elections or more involved in European politics?
We have a saying in Romania: to get off a nail, you have to use another nail.
That's true.
Soros was a genius of evil. He influenced the culture, institutions, then passed towards the judicial system, and took judges to trainings, to workshops, gave our smart high school kids scholarships and taking them abroad, showing them the world in a poor country like Romania, and through them strong advocates for Soros and for his open society agenda. He influences the way states are going. Of course, we need help from people who think like us. Of course, Elon helped us a lot and helped President Trump to win the elections. So if Soros is admitted in the game, we need some counter balance. This is, in my opinion, I know they started accusing him, okay, he does business with the Italian, with Starlink. Yes, he did business with the government in the United States in the beginning, but options that he presents and he represents are our options. He tells us we should do more children, we should increase demography, we should concentrate on prosperity. This is our objectives also. So who is represented by Soros can go and support Soros. Who at a bigger level supports Elon Musk should support him. I didn't have an active X account until Elon started buying X and changing the name. I had it, no users in Romania, it wasn't too popular. I now post and I find it very useful because it helps me to let people from other countries know what's happening in Romania with the coup d'etat and the reality in Romanian politics. I'm the most popular political person in Romania, the social media networks. Is that a bad thing?
No.
That people support me. The government parties are supported through fear, through the budget, and through hiring people and harassing them if they don't support their parties. I'm supported by people with access to a smartphone.
So from your perspective, is there going to be a censorship crackdown in Romania on social networks because of the rise of the Conservative Party?
Yes, the government already tried, and TikTok was weak and accepted the blackmail and deleted content indicated by the government. So the government will do anything possible to remain in power, even if people don't want them. But it's a big mistake trying to influence how people are thinking through censorship. Only backfires. So I saw this, I studied in a master's degree the history of communism, and I studied how communist regime in the Eastern Europe ended. And when you impose dictators and you impose censorship, it backfires.
Yeah, there's a lot of studies actually to back that up, and quite a few great advocates like Daryl Davis, who's actually gone out and talked to KKK members and converted them and like got them to turn down their robes and join, and how he's a jazz musician from like the 90s. But there's a lot of really concrete studies that show that if you censor people, it actually creates these microcosms of hate and anger and frustration, and it creates a bigger problem at the end of the day, because they're going to go somewhere. But if you allow people to talk and have a dialogue and have a communication, then you're actually able to counter that, and you can silence them with voices, and you can bring up that race. But from the government's perspective, especially in the EU, the problem is that they want to crack down on it. I mean, if you look at the implementation of the DSA, and you know, your former head of digital, which Elon likes to call the French, I think it's the French taunter. He makes fun of him.
We had a clear position on this French commissar, because on the Soviet Union there were the Soviet commissars, and now we have commissars at the European Union level. I think, look, in Romania they call some media, some liberal media call us extremists. We want to dialogue, we want to debate. We are surprised that in the conference today so many people showed up and they are willing to debate, are willing to get involved. We are the ones that fight totalitarianism, dictatorship, and want free elections, and we want a dialogue. The ones that are trying to control what's being said on TV stations and social networks are dictators who sooner or later will have fate of Bashar al-Assad.
So last big question, kind of a big picture perspective. How do you protect this freedom of speech, though? I mean, there is, like I said, a movement. How do you stop it? Like in the EU, they're going to be putting out new laws. There's a new AI law. There's a ton of new laws that are coming in to try and squash it. They've gone directly after X. They've gone directly after most social networks to make them turn over their content and control it.
The key is at the lawmakers, and the key is at the persons who will decide. The important thing in televisions, in social network, is deregulating stuff. Imposing more and more rules will only create problems. I think this works also in the financial system, and I believe in freedom. This is why us as lawmakers should get involved in the Romanian Parliament and the European Parliament and in the Congress through the friends that we have there. It's important. That crazy idea, let's ban TikTok. Why ban it? Okay, they have access to our data. Okay, everybody has access to your data, and the only way you are not followed nowadays if you have a phone with only buttons. It's common sense that this happens. We should stay together with Meta, with TikTok, with X, to find solutions, because they are not perfect. They are imposing censorship in a way. Even in communist period was better, because in communist period you knew the censors who blocked you. He had a name. Now you don't have a name, you just have an account, and it comes with a notification. So I think we can have a dialogue, and we can find ways of keeping everything in the limits of freedom, including freedom of speech.